So we're back here on the Cutting Room Podcast, here with my co-host Charles Grace, and we have Adam Wilde. Adam, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Pretty good, pretty good. So right off the bat, what or how did you get into pro wrestling?
So, much like everyone, I think I got into wrestling when I was a kid, and I absolutely loved it. I remember there were two Survivor Series in a row that were in Cleveland at the Richfield Coliseum, and I went to both of those, and I was probably like 10 or 11 years old. The Richfield Coliseum doesn't even exist anymore, so like that's how old that was. But like I loved at a very young age classic heel wrestlers like the Ravishing Rick Rudes, the Ted DiBiase's, the Mr. Perfects. Like those guys in my mind, they were never good guys. They were only bad guys, and I thought that was like the most special thing. And they just knew exactly what to say on the mic to just rile the crowd up every single time.
Yeah,
it was amazing, amazing.
Okay, all right. I like that. That being said, Mr. Perfect, Rick Rude, icons in the world of pro wrestling. Can you give us some of your favorite heels in wrestling today?
Today, yeah, I can. They switch back and forth so often anymore, so it's really kind of hard to like narrow in. Like I think Kevin Owens, when he is a heel, he is the best in the game. The best in the game. There's no one who's not better than Mike. Jericho, of course, when he's a heel, he is the best. Like, there are some guys that like I think are so much better when they're just talking smack constantly, and they're so good at talking smack, and I think those are probably two of the better ones.
Okay, I like that. And both Canadian.
Both Canadian, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Damien and I were talking about this earlier today. Wondering if you care to give your thoughts on. Damien mentioned his favorite heel is Maxwell Jacob Fried.
Oh yeah, MJF. So
what are your thoughts on MJF?
I love MJF. MJF, I actually used to spend time with him in AIW locker rooms.
Okay.
Funny enough, I asked him. I was there for his last night in AIW before he was going to AEW, and I was like, "Hey, do you want to be in this doc?" And he's like, I'll have to be an asshole." And I was like, "Yeah, I guess so." So maybe don't do that, So like he will never break character. It's amazing.
That's awesome.
But like, yeah, he's a funny dude. I used to my whole way I got into this was doing these character portraits backstage at AIW.
Yeah.
And I was shooting him one day, and he like totally thought I was just some mark back there. It's like, "Get out of here!" One of those. I don't know if the shot made the book, but I have that shot, and it just cracks me up every time I see it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That goes into my first question that I have for you. Besides being the director for this documentary, you're also a photographer at heart.
I am. Yeah, I came up in the world as a photographer, so that's actually what got me into this documentary. Is that photo documentary series. So my first show with AIW, who is primarily the subject of this film, was Johnny Gargano's last show at AIW before he was going up to WWE. So my buddy just grabbed me and said, "Hey, we're going out for tonight," and he took me to this church gymnasium. And there was like house lights on, classic indie wrestling environments. But the place was like overpacked with, like we were talking about, metal and hardcore kids, right? So all of a sudden I was just walking in, I was like, "What in the hell is this?"
Yeah.
So then it's Johnny Gargano's last match. So then he gives the performance of like this hour-long match. It was amazing. Candace was involved, and like there was just a bunch of other people that were popping in. And then afterwards, he gave this hour-long speech where, like, he was in tears, the crowd was in tears, and I was just like, "What is this subculture that I stumbled into?"
Yeah.
So at that point, I back-channeled. I got to John Thorne, who's the promoter, and I was like, "Hey, dude, I want to do I'm a photographer. I'd love to do a photo documentary project here." And he's like, "Yeah, dude, you can go down ringside, take ring photo, like in-ring photos. That's cool." And I was like, no, I actually don't care about the in-ring stuff. I want to go backstage and I want to do these character portraits of the pensive moments before the match and like after the match, that intensity. I want to capture the real humans. And he's like, "Let's do it." So I followed them for a year, every single show for a year, and I did this photo documentary project. And funny enough, like I would give him the images and I would give the wrestlers the images, but when we released the film, I was like, all those images in a book would actually be a great compendium piece to this film. So we have that. Or like I'm giving it out in press kits and we're selling it at the shows too.
some of the favorite shots that I've seen you. One was of Eddie Kingston.
Oh yeah.
In the back. What were some of your early influences as a photographer? What got you into photography?
So I am a musician at heart. So I grew up playing in hardcore bands. So thank you. So when my music career came to an end, rather abruptly, and I got into the photo world, I was actually going on tour with bands and shooting concerts and music videos and all of that kind of stuff. So that's where I started that kind of world. So when I was backstage at these venues, it actually felt like where I started, and because I was in a band touring in bands, and then when I was doing music videos and these photo projects with bands, I was in the van with the band, going to all these fucking seedy places. Sorry, I dropped an F-bomb.
No,
It's all good. Yeah, you're right. Don't worry.
It's adult audience.
Yeah. So I'd say that's kind of where my inspiration came from, was that live entertainment kind of aspect of just capturing these seedy shots in these seedy spots and really kind of trying to get as much atmosphere in there as possible.
That's before we started rolling, you and I were talking about that. There seems to be this Venn diagram of elder millennial wrestling fans, music fans, and we're all kind of like finding this sweet spot in wrestling. I'm curious, like, what are your thoughts on how those intersect, like music, wrestling, film, photography? Like, what are you noticing?
I don't know how it's coming to be, but you are absolutely right. You're finding very similar demographics at all these different shows, and they all kind of come from very similar backgrounds. And like Josh Prohibition, who was in this, he's my exact same age. We were just talking about this the other day. Matt Cross, my exact same age. These guys were into the hardcore scene. I was like, how do we not see each other in Cleveland? Because you guys were Cleveland guys, I was Cleveland guys. We were all going to the same shows. Like, there's a couple bands from the early 90s that are doing reunion shows, hardcore bands in Cleveland. And I was like, dude, you go to the show? And they're so stoked for it too. And I was like, how do we not see each other? Or maybe we just did, and we were like so different that we didn't know it then. But like, it is weird how all of these groups that I was like part of are now all converging into like this one larger group. This Venn diagram, it's just getting bigger and bigger up all these concentric circles.
Yeah. I'm curious, because of that too, before we got here, Danny and I were talking about, with your background in photography, I wonder if we could go around and share favorite wrestling photo. So like, I wanted to start with you and then go around. Like, if there's an iconic photo that, like, when you see it, you know exactly where you were, you instantly remember, like, oh wow.
You guys start. Let me think on this, because one popped in my mind right out the gate.
Well,
but I can't remember where I could find the photo.
Okay.
Tell us the photo.
It's Bryan Danielson doing the yes chant. Honest.
At WrestleMania 30 or the takeover?
No, I think it was at WrestleMania 30.
Where he's holding the two belts.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be the WrestleMania 30 of.
Everyone is like right behind him doing it. And now I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, am I just remembering the video of this, or is there actually a still shot that I saw?
Yeah. When you'd mentioned that, I think we'd all kind of gone through this. Maybe we've all gone through this period, but like, there was a hiatus where I didn't watch wrestling for a couple of years, and the period that I came back was WrestleMania 30. Daniel Bryan, him wrestling two matches in the same night. I called Bryan
Danielson, didn't I? So like,
you're right. Bryan Danielson is his government.
I'm getting my genres mixed.
No, you're good. You're good. So your first memory of wrestling photograph was Daniel Bryan holding the two titles with the yes chant.
Oh, I don't know if that's my first memory.
Or favorite, sorry.
That's probably my favorite, because like, there's so much emotion wrapped up in that one photo. Yeah. It's amazing. Yeah. Amazing.
Damien, what's yours?
My all-time favorite pro wrestling photo is a recent one that happened, was Jon Moxley's debut for AEW.
Oh, yeah.
When he runs through the crowd, he had just DDT Jericho, and he's breathing in this new air after being leaving WWE and now reinventing himself again as Jon Moxley. It's such an epic photo, which I do have it signed by him. I met him at a meet and greet in Vegas, and it's such an important photo, I think, for the pro wrestling culture, because it really started this new boom period that we're in.
Yeah.
And him being one of the people at the helm of that new boom period and this new movement that you don't need the big monster to be successful.
Good. I'll quickly say, I'm going to cheat. There's two that came to my mind right off the bat when Damien and I brought this up earlier. The first one that came to my mind without thinking about it was the one of a believing Stone Cold Steve Austin in the sharpshooter at WrestleMania 13.
Yeah.
That's, without thinking, that's the first one that came to my head. The double turn in that match, that being the launch of Austin's career. Second one I thought of was the picture of Undertaker standing on the cell.
I was gonna say that same one.
Hey! All right.
Yeah.
So it was his match with Randy
Absolutely.
in Armageddon 2005.
Yeah.
Tell me about that. What was your memory of that one?
I mean, like, just him standing on top of that. It was just like, are we talking about the same one with Mankind that went through?
That's okay.
That's the one I'm talking
yes.
about. So Undertaker standing on
I
top
know
of the
what
Hell
you're
in the
talking
Cell
about.
after
The second time.
after Mankind went through the top. Yes.
Before Terry Funk was
Because the first time
chokeslammed out of his shoes.
Yes, exactly. The first time he just throws him over. Second time he choke slams him through. Was not supposed to break. Goes through. Tooth goes through the nose. The whole thing. But he's standing at the top, just staring down, and you just know in that moment, because you can see it in his face. Like he's like, did I just kill this guy? You know what I'm saying? Like he doesn't know if he just killed someone.
Yeah.
And he's just standing on top of this cage in front of 60,000 people. Can you imagine? Like that's what I love about photography is when you can like capture those moments where you can just feel what's happening in that moment.
Yeah.
That's why I love that Daniel Bryan one so much too.
Yes.
It's like you can feel the emotion in that shot.
That's a great answer.
So here in the Cutting Room podcast, we talk about cinema and pro wrestling. In your opinion, what makes a pro wrestler cinematic?
I think commitment to character. I think one of the most important things in cinema is character, and with that character, it's not necessarily, it's the whole show don't tell, right? So what are your mannerisms? What are the things that you're doing consistently, physically, that tell us who you are? Whether that's how you treat other people, whether it's how you get into the ring, whether that's how you interact with the crowd. And then once you're in that character, how are you interacting with people on a mic? What is that? Because I think those are the two things that really kind of hone in what a character is. And I think there are some guys, again, we're talking about MJF, he never breaks character. Like, he is one of the best at just really dialing in exactly what he wants to show the world and how he wants to be represented. And he can take it to the nth degree, and he can push the limits of that, and we all still love it so much. So I think that is probably what it is.
Okay.
What do you guys think?
Commitment to character. Yeah. Damien, what do you think? I'll start with you, man.
The ability to connect with the audience, whether you're a heel or a face. Perfect example, like we say with MJF. I was present for the promo that he dropped at the Forum after Double or Nothing, after losing to Wardlow, and the whole issue about Tony Khan and leaving, wanting to leave Vegas and everything. I went into that arena hating MJF because how could you, like betraying the company, where you're gonna go? After that promo was dropped, saying things like, I'm the only guy that makes you feel, and I don't have to do a bunch of bullshit to get you there. After that promo was dropped and he walked out and Punk chased him off, I was cheering for MJF. That's when you're able to flip the crowd.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
I honestly, and it was so organic. It was such a great moment, such a great promo. And to me, that was a moment where I realized that, you know what, MJF is cinematic.
Yeah. And what these guys do, the guys that really commit to character, they understand storytelling, right? So I mean,
More about that. Yeah.
the storytelling aspect is that connection to the audience, and they know how to draw them in, how to make them furious, how to make them empathetic towards you. Like, they know how that manipulation tool, because it's just a dial, and they just like switch the dial this way a little bit, bring the dial back, but they can do it like that. And like, when you have that kind of control, it is, you can do anything. You can become MJF, you can become CM Punk, you can become Chris Jericho. Like, these are the guys that like they could be in the middle of the ring by themselves and control 60,000 people around them, and that is something special.
Yeah. That's, man, you guys, your answers were spot on. The only things I was thinking as you guys were sharing, those are all great attributes. It's interesting, some of the people you mentioned, my mind went immediately to, well, I don't mean this as a derogatory by any means, but like my mind went to the spooky characters.
Yeah.
But then as you were speaking, I'm like, well, of course there is The Undertaker, there's Bray Wyatt.
Right.
Who I thought did a great job at building a world, and I know the term universe is kind of like quirky now, but like especially in the 90s, and then when Wyatt was around later, we were talking about Daniel Bryan earlier. Bray Wyatt had a huge influence on the rise of the Yes Movement.
Yep.
Being the cult leader and trying to like persuade Bryan to be in it, But when you guys were talking about MJF and Chris Jericho, for example, I also thought of
Scott Falls.
yeah, Scott Hall. Like I thought of somebody's ability to, just like in a movie, um, a villain who somehow garners my support or sympathy. They flip me, like Damien said.
Huh?
I think back to, for years I hated The Miz, legitimately, not because
Yeah.
I was supposed to. I didn't like him because like he made me mad.
Sure.
And then there was that famous Talking Smack promo
Uh-huh.
in 2016 where I went back and I said, "Damn, he made some good points." I was like, "Did I just become a Miz fan?"
Yeah. Dude, The Miz to me, it's like a Ted DiBiase, honestly. Like, I think he's like a new age Ted DiBiase. I think he is in that same vein of like always a heel. He's been like a face a handful of times, but it's been more by necessity than like his natural spot. But yeah, that's I think The Miz is fantastic.
Yeah.
When you mention stuff like that, like Miz becoming a modern day Ted DiBiase, they never even need the strap on them to be anything.
Correct.
They don't even need the
Yeah.
belt.
Yeah.
You know, it's just simple as Ted DiBiase.
great.
You know, even purchasing the belt from Andre the Giant, I think that was my favorite moment.
Yeah.
Like, you know, Andre beating Hogan, and he's like, "Oh no, I give the belt to Ted DiBiase." Like, how could you? Like, that has to be that was one of the most flex things I ever saw in pro wrestling in the early days. And such a great moment. Ted DiBiase, we were able to see him at House of Glory here in LA,
back in May.
and it was such a pleasure meeting him.
Yeah,
It was awesome.
he's a nice guy. He was at AIW not long ago, and I got to interact with him there.
I love it.
Another thing about The Miz too is like, when's the last time The Miz has won a match? Can you even think?
Yeah.
And do we care?
No.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's another thing. Like, if you can just never win, but like, you can entertain a crowd and people still want to love or want to hate you because of the character that you're giving us, like, you got us wrapped around your finger.
So we were talking earlier, Dave and I were talking. We noticed that there's a lot of personal stuff in this film. Like, so kind of curious, during the filming process, what did you notice or what did you learn about the person? So we talked about MJF, for example.
Sure.
What did you learn about the person versus the persona?
Yeah. I learned that all these guys are humans first and foremost. Like, one of the things that I tried to stay away from the filming of this is, we all know the spectacle that happens in the ring. We all know the characters that they're giving us, but who are the people behind that? So I really wanted to kind of hone in that, and what I really kind of found is that a couple of things. A, the passion that these guys have is unmatched, and they are willing, whether they are going to make it or not, to put their bodies on the line in order to follow this dream that they have. And regardless of, one of the things that's special about this film is that like a lot of people who are not wrestling fans have really connected with it, because we're like, oh, like, I'm an indie musician and this relates to me, because it's one of those things where like you absolutely feel that passion. You understand, this has very little chance of taking me anywhere, but it's my heart that's taking me this direction. I have to follow it. And to really kind of hone in on these guys and capture that is amazing. And then the second thing I really learned is that the community that these indie wrestlers built behind the scenes is one of the most miraculous things I've ever seen. You go to one of these indie locker rooms anywhere in the world, whether it's AIW or anywhere else, you're getting all different races, all different genders, all different socioeconomic classes, and these guys all get along. They are all there to make that night amazing. They are all there to support each other, and it's like a microcosm of how the world can exist, and it's like in an indie locker room of wrestling, you know. So like, why can't we do this as humans when they're doing it? These like hyper macho masculine guys that like
Camaraderie.
Yeah, it's amazing.
You mentioned that this all started when you discovered this subculture of indie wrestling. I have to ask you the question: big promotion live event or indie show? What do you prefer?
I mean, the indie shows are so intimate. So like, again, growing up in the punk rock scene, the hardcore scene.
We both love the rice.
Yeah, like I'm more used to these smaller, intimate shows with bands than I am going to, you know, the Rocket Arena or any of these giant arenas to watch the venue. So like, while I think there's something special, especially when like you're witnessing history in one of those larger shows, I think the intimacy of what you experience
Hmm.
in these indie shows can't be matched.
Yeah. That's such a you kind of touched on it earlier, indie versus mainstream. I'm kind of curious because you'd mentioned like maybe this is for indie musicians or other types of artists or just people. Um, what do you hope people take away from it? Not just wrestling fans, but maybe people who are interested in, like you were saying, the microcosm or just how different communities and demographic can coexist. Like,
Yeah.
what do you want to?
Yeah, I definitely want people to understand that there's this beautiful community that exists within the indie wrestling world that people have no idea exists.
Okay.
Because they see the spectacle again. They see, and like wrestling still to this day has this like carny affiliation with it, right? So like I think to show that these guys are actual humans, they have real world issues, they think like real humans, you know?
Yeah.
They have passions, they have a lot of heart, and I think that's really special. I think it's one of the things I want people to take away.
So here on the Federal Podcast, my final question that I ask all the guests: the Adam Wilde biopic has been greenlit. You have creative control. Who's directing your film?
Oh, who's directing my film? All right, I thought you were gonna say, "Who do you want to play me?" That would
Oh,
be terrifying. That's probably next.
You're
Who's
gonna say that.
directing my film? That's a great question.
Maybe maybe
I mean,
even
like-
an indie director. I don't know.
Yeah, like Villeneuve. Clearly, he's like one of
Nice.
the best out there. That would be fantastic. I haven't seen him do really a biopic though. God, who's the guy that did Green Room? I fucking love him.
Oh,
But I'm on the spot, so now I can't.
that's okay. What a great poll.
Yeah.
That's a great film.
Oh yeah. I really love everything that he's doing, so he might be one of my choices.
Okay. Actor to portray Adam Wilde.
There it is. Yeah, dude, I get every time. Like the other day, someone was like, "You know, you look exactly like Theo Von." I was like, "Theo Von?"
No.
Someone once told me I look like who was the guy that played Mango on Saturday Night Live? Chris.
Chris
Kattan?
Chris Kattan?
No.
Yeah.
No.
I get the worst. I get Jeff Goldblum every once in a while. I just get the worst comparison.
Right.
So like, I haven't even thought about it.
What's our go?
Let's just go with someone who's like dashingly handsome and probably ripped. Get rid of the spare tire that I have.
Yeah.
Title of the Adam Wilde biopic.
Oh yeah. Adapt or Be Dead.
Wow.
That's a good one.
Okay. Follow-up question: why adapt or be dead?
It's kind of one of my mantras, and it's just what I've kind of had to do in life. I didn't go to school for photography. I didn't go to school for filmmaking. I didn't go to school for running a commercial studio, which is what my day job is. Like, so I've always just had to, and I'm never the most talented person in the room, so I've always just had to outwork everyone and just understand where the industry is going in order to kind of slot myself in there and be prepared for it. So,
Opening title sequence song.
I have terrible song names. Let's just go Thrice off of Visu.
Ooh. Ooh.
I
I just got excited when you said Visu right now. Hit me.
I mean, that's like
You need
my
some help with song titles?
It's like the, I think, third to last song on the Visu album.
It's not the Iron Bars or.
Should I
Yeah,
bring out the phone?
This is worth it.
Yeah.
This is worth like
We're gonna
this
just
is,
pause for 1 second. Thrice off of Visu. Stand and Feel Your Worth.
Adam, we said this earlier. It's like that scene from Step Brothers. Did we just become best friends?
I
Because
know.
I've recently gone back. I was like a late Thrice fan.
Yeah.
I just kind of like rediscovered them when they were on hiatus, and then got lucky enough that they banded back together. But yeah, recently been listening to Visu. That whole The Earth Will Shake.
Oh my goodness.
Image of the Invisible.
Yeah,
Anyway.
that whole album, I could listen to it every day of my life.
Ugh.
Yeah.
I just got to mention right before album that you can listen to all the time. Music from Regions Beyond by Tiger on the Honor.
Oh
That's
yeah.
Yeah.
Nice pull.
I'm sorry. That's one of my
Nice
favorite albums.
pull.
Yeah.
But back to the biopic. How does it end?
I think it ends with me still pushing forward, man. I don't think it ends with I don't think it's a happy ending. I don't think it's a sad ending. I think it's just me still trying, forward momentum. I'm always just trying to move forward.
Oh, I love that.
Adam, thank you so much for taking the time to speak to me, Charles Gray, Damian King, the Master Creative here on the Cutting Room Podcast, where I always say that pro wrestling is cinematic, and everybody, that is a cut.